What's up, cartoon lovers? Simon here. Welcome to HannaTalk, and today I am here with a legend in the industry, a voice actor, singer, comedian, and an all-round entertainer, best known as Deputy James Garcia from Remo 911, and in the voiceover world, such as the Taco Bell Chihuahua from the Taco Bell commercials, Denzel Crocker from Fairly Odd Parents, Rocko from Rocko's Modern Life, Camp Lazlo, El Tigre, Family Guy, Cat Dog, Spyro, and many more. Please welcome Carlos Alazraqui.
Yes, very well done, Simon.
And how are you?
I'm good. I'm well. It is 4 p.m. out here on the West Coast in Los Angeles, and got a play date going on downstairs. I got some work done today. Had a couple of auditions. I'm doing well.
Awesome. So, on to the first question. How did you get started in performing?
Performing per se in stand-up comedy happened in college. 1984, did a comedy competition, and then I quickly had stage anxiety and formed a comedy duo and did that for a year, and that branched off into me going back to a solo act and then becoming a full-time comic in 1989 as I was working at health clubs in San Francisco, and I went on the road. And then in 1991, there was an audition for a project called Rocko's Modern Life. At that time, I did not have a voiceover agency, nor was I too familiar with what it was. And so I made a little tape. I showed up at a person named George Maestри's house with another producer, Nick Jennings, who is now running the new Powerpuff Girls, and Joe Murray. And there was a project called Rocko's Modern Life. They didn't want an Australian, quote-unquote, voice. They wanted an American Woody Allen type, and we were going about this audition. I showed up at this house, and I tried something like, finally, I just said, well, I guess I'd like to take a shot at it anyways. And I did something like that was more flattened out. It was more pseudo-Australian, obviously not real, but they liked it, and they said, yeah, let's go with that. And then we made a little pilot at a place called Poolside Studios in San Francisco, right behind Mel's Diner on Lombard Street. Not the famous part of Lombard, I would say, about a mile and a half east of the hill. East, north of the hill. No, west of the hill, sorry. And so we made a little pilot, and Nickelodeon liked it, and then over time, Rocko's voice got pulled back a little bit so that you could understand him, and he became more Cockney. And so that whole thing launched me into the voiceover world. And I started flying down to LA, and within a couple of years I moved down here and began working on camera and in voiceover.
Fantastic. And well, skimming past a few of the extra questions here, but going straight on to Rocko's Modern Life,
Yeah,
what was it like doing that series? And did you ever think that series and the character Rocko would ever become so popular?
I didn't know. The answer to the final question is I had no idea because I didn't know what voiceover was per se. So I guess at that time there was Animaniacs and several other things. So it felt like we had a quality product, and Joe's vision for what the show was really sweet. We were on the heels of Chris Lucy and Ren and Stimpy, so that excited me to be part of that family. But once it was up and running, and once it got to be at least the first couple of seasons before standards and practices, to see how subversive it could be, and knowing that Tom Kenny, it was basically his first experience as well. The story goes, and he will tell you, that they were looking for a heifer character and couldn't find it, and I suggested Tom Kenny. And so Charlie Adler was the one established voice actor, and Joe was not, he was new to directing as well. But once we got up and running after the first season and seeing people's reaction, we knew we were a part of something special. And before I forget, and I'm sure we might get to this, we are able to say that I believe officially we are going to do a new Rocko's Modern Life 44-minute movie for Nickelodeon. So
Fantastic.
I can say that I believe the original cast will be back until Nickelodeon gives us an official. But so that's going to be fun again. So it was special. I knew it was special because it was my first cartoon. But as I say, after season one, I thought that it was a pretty quality animated show.
Fantastic. And well, moving, and it's fantastic to hear that Rocker's Modern Life is that this project is up on the ground, up off the ground, and it's going to be moving
It
forward.
has been officially announced. Yes.
That's fantastic. That's really, really amazing. Moving on to another voiceover role that you're best known for, and is also a huge congratulations, of course, celebrating its 15th anniversary, is Fairly Odd Parents playing Denzel Crocker. What's it like playing in the series, especially since this year is the show's 15th anniversary?
Man, it's almost like having a kid because time has gone by so fast, and we're a little bit grayer now. But that cast is still there: Darren Norris and Suzanne Blakesley and Tara Strong and myself and Gray Delisle and Dee Baker, Rob Paulson occasionally, Eric Bauza, Kevin Michael Richardson. So many great guest drop-ins, and Kari Walgren now has joined us as Chloe Carmichael. Sherry O'Terry plays her mom. It's really been a great evolution, and I started with doing a character, Billy Crystal Ball, which I really wasn't that good at doing, but subsequently, this is a offshoot, but I became Billy Crystal's replacement for all the merchandise on all the Monsters Inc. toys. So
Wow.
I suddenly, ironically, got way better at doing Billy Crystal than what I started with, and Butch had an extra character, a crazy school teacher, and I sort of came up with a suggestion along with his direction of Richard Dreyfuss mixed with Montgomery Burns, thank you, Harry Shearer, and Gene Wilder, and it turned into Timmy Turner, I know what you're doing. You're hiding very good parents! So, I think Crocker, along with myself, has tapped into more of his rage and craziness and has evolved, you know. The original Cosmo was more of a Phil Hartman, and then it turned into this, oh hi Wanda! You know, we all sort of fell into our characters and into our comfort zone. And it's been a great ride. There's times where I sit back and videotape everybody just working, and it's like, it's very symphonic and very jazz at the same time. You realize you're working with incredibly talented, what I would like to call studio musicians, who aren't American Idols, who aren't household names like they should be. They're simply brilliant performers. And and Butch's method to his madness of knowing every character and being able, like a Seth MacFarlane, to do every voice if he wanted to, because he knows them. He birthed them, and he'll sometimes do all the lines before we do them, you know. But it's wonderful. It's a symphony every time we go in, and proud of it. It's a very loud cartoon. It's very in opposition to or dissimilar to Rocko, you know. Rocko's very nice and kind of sweet, and Fairly Odd Parents says, "Hey, Wanda! Oh, Timmy Turner! What, geez, Mom and Dad? I am Jorgen. Very good parents." It's very loud and unsubtle and brash, but it's wonderful.
That's fantastic. And that's really good to hear. It's going incredibly strong. Other animation shows that you're also well known for is Camp Lazlo, El Tigre, Cat Dog, and in particular, Mr. Weed from Family Guy. What was it like doing those shows?
You know, Mr. Weed was fun, but I kind of knew there was a ceiling on it, and that it was Seth's first season, and so there was under the watchful eye of Fox, you know, for a while, and so it wasn't the sessions weren't joyous. They were still figuring it out, and you know, and then my character died, and so in the end, I really wasn't as invested in Family Guy. I was like, I was a part of it. It was nice, but you know, once I left the show, I really stopped watching. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not really interested anymore. And as it goes today, I don't really even watch the things I'm on.
Wow.
I have 2 kids now, and it doesn't provide time for me to watch it. It really doesn't. And I'll check out a premiere or two, but Family Guy was fine. It was fine. And Cat Dog was great because it was Peter O'Hanna, and it was came out of his book. And again, it was joyous. Peter was directing himself. It was Jim Cummings. It was Tom Kenny. It was Dwight Schultz, I want to say. Dwight Schultz, is that right?
I think so.
From A-Team. I want to say Dwight. It was John Kassir. It was Maria Bamford doing some of her first voiceover.
Wow.
And That was a lot of fun. It was very inventive.
And I played Winslow. Hey, cat.
So he was the opposite of Rocko, a mean, kind of prickish character. And I played a Lube, who was sort of the predecessor to Clem on Camp Lazlo. That was a lot of fun. And I forgot what you said the third one was.
Tigre. Is that pronounced right?
It's awesome because I had worked with Jorge and Sandra before on Pepe the Bull. And so El Tigre was amazing. Jorge's vision, Sandra's artwork, and her vision to create something really beautiful. And of course, it went on later on to become Book of Life, the feature film. That style. That was great. And I remember riffing with John DiMaggio, and we created something which your viewers or listeners can check out. It's on Mondo Media and or on YouTube. It's called Off the Curve, and it's 5 little shorts of these guys talking on a street corner about Olympics, about monsters, about presidents, and it was born out of a riff that John DiMaggio and I did during a session of El Tigre. And it was basically John DiMaggio going, man, Frankenstein will whoop Dracula's ass. And I would say, oh, hell no. Dracula would come up on Frankenstein and bite his neck off. No, Frankenstein would punch him right in the mouth. That turned into about a year and a half later of me recruiting Gary Anthony Williams, Cedric Yarborough, Fred Tatasciore, John DiMaggio, and then Eric Bauza to go in and do an all-improvised cartoon based upon these guys like sitting on a street corner doing that do the right thing talking. And I play a Filipino waiter named Edilberto who works at the cafe, and he's trying to tell them to keep the language down, but he serves them coffee, and it turned into something wonderful. And I think that was all because Jorge knew that we were voice actors and that we riffed and just kind of let it go. But coming back to El Tigre, that artwork and that style, Lana Ubach, Trey Delisle, myself, again, a great cast, and rated #1, and for some reason Nickelodeon just didn't want to keep doing it, and it was a shame because it was wonderful,
right.
Beautiful, and I played Grandpapi. Later on, basically became General Posada in Book of Life. Maria, don't you marry that Joaquin?
That's fantastic, and
yeah, I'm glad I have a relationship still with Jorge and remember El Tigre very fondly.
That's fantastic, and an interesting story actually. But I actually saw the Book of Life, interestingly enough, when I was on a cruise ship on the way to Mexico. In fact, it's just so kind of a bit of an introduction to Mexican culture in some way.
Yeah, it is. Jorge said it was an amalgam of stories he listened to as a child and grew up with, and so he wanted to blend them all into sort of one movie. At the forefront is Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, but it sort of borrows from other traditional Mexican stories. And Gray Delisle, Eric Bauza, and I scratched the entire movie over 2 years, I think, where we each played about 13 characters so that they had a template for the other actors to match the voices. And then Jorge, along with Guillermo del Toro, fought with Fox to keep us in the movie. And without that, I might have been replaced. So we definitely have to give thanks to Jorge for sticking to his guns and saying, no, these guys are great. And Guillermo del Toro for saying, these guys are awesome. They're staying in the movie.
That's fantastic, and that's really good to hear. What was like your favorite animated show to work on?
I'll have to say, and while I'm there, this is the same kind of attitude that we got from George Miller, who is, in my opinion, one of the most down-to-earth, nicest people you could ever meet, and you would no way imagine that this guy directed Zeus and Roxanne, or Babe Pig in the City, and Mad Max, and then Happy Feet. That attitude of him just going, guys, get in there and, we'll do a pass, and then we'll kind of play around, and there was no ego, there was no tier system where you couldn't talk to George Miller. He was like, guys, how you going? Let's all have fun. it was such a wonderful thing to do to work with him, and I just wanted to mention that in case I forgot during this experience of this interview. That had to be said. He along with Jorge is just a great person, you know, and that goes a huge, long way in this business that is full of egos and pomp and circumstance and all that. But my favorite cartoon, I think it was, I love Fairly Odd Parents, obviously, but I'd have to say Rocko. You know, it's my first.
And he's so sweet, and he's the eye of the hurricane.
And it's the most subtle acting maybe I've ever gotten to do,
Right.
ironically. And even the Taco Bell dog was fun. That wasn't a cartoon, but I think it was Rocko. You know, I just loved it. Maybe more romanticized, but I'm definitely looking forward to, you know, doing this new record. And I also remember doing a live event at the Downtown Independent Theater in LA. I think it was 2012. And then recently, Tom Kenny, Charlie Adler, and I last June went to a Florida SuperCon in Miami, and we read an episode called Cabin Fever, and we read it live. We showed a clip. There was like 1,000 people there, and it was awesome. So, yeah, Rocko's my favorite one.
Fantastic. And with, did you ever like strain or lose your voice playing a particular role?
Yeah, you know, even with Rocko, I had allergies, and there was sometimes I couldn't get that high.
And so I had to make it past it. At that time, I was doing video games and occasionally screaming. Certainly with Mr. Crocker, I've lost my voice. You know, he's a screamer. And if it's an all Crocker and his mother episode, it's tough. But yeah, I've lost my voice several times. And then, you know, complementing that with stand-up comedy, for sure.
Right.
I've had things where I've worked all week in voiceover and done 4 shows on the weekend and, like, forget it. I'm done.
Yikes.
When my Eric Paul is like, yo, what's up, bitch? Yes. Mr. White, it's perfect. You know? Or my Bill Clinton, it's right there because my throat is so dry, I don't even have to try. You know, so it's just hard to get to the higher places.
I imagine. But moving across into other roles that you've done, you've also voiced a variety of roles in the DC or comic book universe. What was it like playing in the comic book world?
Great for me to be a part of like the Bane franchise. Andrea Romano just told me you're going to play this character Bane in Legion of Doom. And then I've played him in a couple of different variations of Batman themed cartoons, and it's been awesome. Bane. I've gotten to meet Paul Dini, who created Harley Quinn. He is the husband of Misty Lee, who's a performer and also a performer at the Comedy Magic Club. And it's great because I'm not a geek. I didn't grow up watching reading or paying attention to that. I was a jock and I was into sports. However, my brother and I loved the Adam West, Burt Ward Batman series when we were kids. And so in any way to be affiliated with the DC world of Batman and be part of that franchise and have people say, I love your Bane when I go to Comic-Cons. Monsters vs. Mechs is my latest rendition of Bane, and that's coming out soon. As a matter of fact, I just saw Mark Hamill the other day.
Oh, wow.
He's like, Carlos, when are we going to work together? And I go, well, Mark, I hope it's on a Batman series. He goes, Bane? I didn't know you did Bane. I go, I haven't done Bane with you yet, but that's my goal. And so that was my best Mark Hamill, by the way. So hopefully that'll happen. So it's been exciting. Yeah, it has introed me into this new world. And, you know, I'm not a geek. I'm not a nerd. I'm not a Chris Hardwick nerd melt, nerd fest type of guy. But if you want to include me in that world, I'm more than happy to be a part of it. It's great. I'm watching. I have ESPN with the sound off right now. That's my comic book, sports. They are real life comic book heroes. You watch Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan dunk a basketball and their heads above the rim. It's incredible. Another thing I saw was TNT Wrestling. I'm a part of this guy. I played this guy, JJ Hightail. He's a auto spokesperson for Direct Auto Insurance, and I got invited to attend a live TNT Wrestling event. And I think his name is Jim Hardy, climbed to the top of a 10-foot cage off from the canvas, 10 feet up. did a backflip from 10 feet up, landed on another wrestler, Kurt Angler. Kurt Angler is his name? He was a real Olympic wrestler. He ended up breaking his ribs on that for real, but
Ooh.
that was the most athletic superhero thing I've ever seen, and it was real. Real. And now I go, I get it. I get why people are into WWE. It's real life comic books. It's not fake. It's not Batman. It's not Superman. These guys are really launching themselves. Incredible. So it's nice to be involved in all of that. Yeah, happy to be at least one of the many people that gets to play Bane.
That's fantastic.
I've read for other Batman villains, and and or DC villains, and I hope that one day I get to book it. We'll see.
Hopefully it does happen. Because I did hear in an interview a while back with Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, they talked about saying they wanted for the next probably Batman animated feature, they really want to do either Death in the Family or Batman Hush. So they're already in the midst of talking about doing probably a few more animated Batman films. So who knows? Maybe it could happen for you one day.
Yeah, I just, Mark and I have share the same agent, so I just have to send him little gift baskets here and there. And it's very interesting running into Mark as a person that I just know now later in life. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but certainly in 1973 I was 11, so I guess that Star Wars is 73, 74. This is so surreal to be talking to him. This is a Luke Skywalker, and he's just, again, like a George Miller, super nice guy. He's not affected. It's really cool. So
Fantastic. And moving across into the live action world, you voiced the Taco Bell Chihuahua in the Taco Bell commercials. What was it like doing voiceover for live action as opposed to animation?
It was weird because, I remember we would just do it to timing, and then they would, of course, CGI the mouth movements later on. But cool to be part of that. It was very surrealistically big here in the States. Everybody knew that commercial. I was on Hollywood Squares, and yeah, it made me proud. It's like, wow, I gave voice to something that people really dug, and it was neat to see the finished product. So I enjoyed it. It was awesome.
Fantastic. And another role in the live action world you're also well known for is Deputy James Garcia from Remo 9/11. What was it like playing the character and in the series?
Great. I mean, it was a chance for me to, first of all, self-title a character. Sort of my plight in Hollywood is being named Carlos Jaime Alazraqui, with a Sephardic Jewish last name, but raised up Episcopalian and agnostic. So, going for all these Latino roles in Hollywood, it's sort of stereotypically they lean toward darker-skinned people. I got to self-title that character. I got to put on a fake cop uniform and fire fake guns and drive around in a fake car. It was like a 15-year-old boy's dream. The chemistry was amazing. I got to meet some great people. The chemistry I had with Cedric Yarborough, it was amazing, playing Officer Jones. I got to ride in a car with Kenny Rogers and work with some great guest stars. Wendy McClendon-Covey, of course, is on the Goldbergs. Tom Lennon, great writers, Dan and Carey and Niecy Nash. It was just awesome. I was just lucky to be a part of it. And it happened by accident. We went to studio as a sketch group for Fox. Fox passed on the sketch show. They said, come up with another idea. Ben, Tom, and Carey said, we're making fun of cops. We're going to call it Reno 911. That is an important distinction, by the way. It is Reno 911. 9/11 has a different connotation, especially here in the United States.
Yes.
People see those numbers, but that's okay. It's pretty common. And so we went home and we thought about our characters. We came to set. They asked us 15 to 20 questions that helped shape our characters. They put me with Cedric Yarborough in a car, turned on the tape in the back with the dash cam. Cedric turns on the radio. It's Usher. And my character says to him, do we have to listen to that jungle music? And then right away, this racist tension between our characters was born. And so it was very organic. It was just playing. And man, I would love to revisit that. And subsequently, the shows that I have pitched have come out of it. I recently I've completed a short film called The Callback that I used Mindy Sterling, of course, from Austin Powers, and the Groundlings actress, Cedric Yarbrough. I used Tara Strong. I used actor Robert Peters. I used a couple of other actors, strong actors, and we shot it in the style of Reno 911, where all of it was improv. And I love doing that style because we know where we want to get. The writing doesn't get in the way. You let the actors do what they want to do. You go back in it, you reshoot it, you know where you want to edit it, and it's that was all born out of my experience on Reno 911. And if they ever did a movie again and they needed me, yep, I'll put the old uni on. I'll come back and do it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Fantastic. And with the live action roles that you've done, did you go into live acting like after doing a lot of voiceover work?
It was, right around the same time. I got the Stephanie Miller show when I moved here in '95. So the voiceover happened first in '92. And I come here for 90, and I'm here in '92 through '95 doing Rocko, and so I land Stephanie Miller, who was on a station, UPN network here in the States, which is no longer, I think it's now CW. But I was one of her regulars. I did sketches, so it was like a, local network version of Saturday Night Live. I played everything: Johnny Carson, I played Charles Manson, Woody Allen, Dick Van Dyke, Maury Amsterdam, whoever it was in '95. I played Kato Kalin when we did all our sketches on the OJ trial, and ironically, I bump into Kato all the time at my health club, and I'm, hey Kato, I played you. He's also another nice Green Bay Packer, Milwaukee, Wisconsin guy. So it was fun doing both at the same time, and then obviously when Reno came, I was heavy into voiceover and doing both at the same time as well. I recently did a movie with Tony Revolori from Grand Budapest Hotel. It's now called Take the 10. It hopefully is supposed to hit Netflix maybe next year. That's the rumor. So I enjoy going from the set or being on stage, and also going back to the voiceover world. I like doing them both.
Fantastic. And as you mentioned before, with your stand-up routines, you're known for incorporating a variety of accents in a lot of your stand-up routines. Have you ever done like an Australian accent?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't call Rocko Australian. He's more, like we say, he ended up being more Cockney.
Yeah, I played this guy, I think it's Tad, on a new series called Wabbit, which is on the WB. He's one of 4 characters I play, and he's just an overblown, all right, today we're going to fix this, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Right, we're going to take these nails and nail it in this wall, but before we do that, we got to put on our safety goggles. And it's a really bad, stereotypical American trying to be Australian accent. But I think I've done it on a couple of things. And I think I've tried to brush up by watching episodes of Summer Heights High, just watching Chris Lilly, who I think is freaking amazing. But I'm sure I'm not doing Jonah, because Jonah is different. Miss, it wasn't my fault. But yeah, I've done. I'm doing it right now for the show. For Wabbit, I play Tad, who's a self-help guy who has his own television network, and and I learned as much as I could being in Sydney for 17 days and listening to the guys going, "How you going, Carlos?" So I just try to copy them, and occasionally I might say 3 or 4 words right, but then I just fall right back into the American accent. So.
Right, fantastic. And in the video game world, I think you were the first voice of Spyro from the Spyro the Dragon,
Yes.
From the Spyro the Dragon video games.
First voice of Spyro, and people come back to me at cons now. And I'm surprised because I lay out everything, and now I'm learning that to bring my Spyro pictures because people really love that.
Wow.
I had no idea. Like, Spyro's like a little kid. Like,
He was the same octave as Rocko and Lazlo.
but he was just like a can-do guy. He was more confident than Rocko, Hey, everybody, it's me, Spyro. We're going to take on the dragons and get to...
And I don't remember the levels. I don't remember... I also did the voice of a couple of the dragons in the game, but people really seemed to love it. It was almost like Bane. I had no idea what Spyro was. I was asked to do it. So
Wow.
I did it. And then it was Elijah Wood, and then it was Tom Kenny and Elijah Wood and a couple of others. So yeah, again, proud to be the first and proud to be part of that Spyro franchise.
Wow. And what was it like playing in the Spyro series? And did you ever get to meet like Elijah Wood?
Yes, on Happy Feet.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
we've hung out here in LA a couple of times after the second Happy Feet. Super nice guy, super eclectic. Owns Simeon Records, I think he owns his music company, and super nice and fun to work with. When we did the Happy Feets, Robin Williams, Elijah Wood. On the second one, it was Hank Azaria was with us, and then it was myself, Lombardo Boyard, who's on Murder in the First, Johnny Sanchez, and Jeff Garcia. We were all in the same room, with George closing his eyes and directing it like a symphony.
Wow. Fantastic. And in the acting world, what was like the most challenging role for you to play?
Oh, gosh, I'm gonna think about this. Just because of the level of energy it takes, doing Mr. Crocker is physically challenging. And also Mike Wazowski, because when you're doing sound-alike stuff and you're doing a bigger game or project, you know that you sort of owe it to Disney and Billy Crystal to try to adhere and be true to that character. So, first of all, it's me doing Billy Crystal, and then pitching it up to, oh my God, sorry, we gotta get out of here, to imagining that I am Mike Wazowski, and that's not my character. Billy Crystal created that so that, making people believe that you are the real thing is tough.
Wow.
So when you're doing a game, like, to get to the next level, push the red button. Well done. Now you're on to the next level. That stuff is tough. And it's something that a lot of voiceover actors do and don't get the credit for, voice matching.
Right.
And I would call that, on camera wise, really haven't had to do anything dramatically that was too hard. So I wouldn't say I've really faced that. I mean, there were times in Reno where we were freezing or hot or gross, trying to keep the mustache on, but that's trite. We weren't doing an Oliver Stone war movie, we're doing basic training stuff. Not much on camera has been too challenging for me. I haven't had to face that per se.
Right. And was there ever like a role or a character you ever wanted to play or ever wished that you played?
That's always a good question. Yeah, Inkazarian Birdcage. That Cuban, that sort of Cuban guy, that role per se. God, I would have loved to have done anything in a Wes Anderson movie. I would have loved to have been in Rushmore. I don't know, maybe I could have played, he passed away, that actor, but Casal, I think was his name. Could have played Jason Rushmore's dad. Jason Schwartzman's dad. Would have loved to have been in that movie, Rushmore. In Raising Arizona, I would have loved to have been, Sam McMurray's role, who was great. Really nice guy as well. He played Glenn the foreman. I would have loved to have been in the series Fargo. Sure, there's a lot of them.
Wow. And another question that I often ask every person I interview, what would you say has been the one role that has resonated with you the most and you feel like you could relate to as a person?
I think it's Rocko, because he's not always sure of himself, and I still have that sort of adult yet wide-eyed wonder of the world, and he's sweet, and I'd like to believe, on top of some of the times when I have fits or get mad or angry, that I'm somebody that somebody likes. Rocko is very Winnie the Pooh. Everybody likes Rocko, and so I would hope to think that that's true with me. I'm a nice guy. I get along with most anybody, and so I think that's a quality that Rocko has, and I would say that for that reason, I most embody him. Certainly hope it's not Garcia from Reno 911. And certainly hope it's not Mr. Crocker either, because he's crazy.
That's fantastic. And without spoilers, any other current or upcoming projects?
Well, Elena of Avalor, or if you're Disney related, she's the new Disney princess, and
Yes.
I play Skylar, who's a Jacquin, which is basically a macaw and a jaguar. So myself, Chris Parnell, and Yvette Nicole Brown play the three Jacquins. Luna is Yvette Nicole Brown. Miggs is Chris Parnell, and I play Skylar. And he's like, "Okay, Princessa, time to go." So that's been a big hit so far. Again, Wabbit. I play Shameless O'Shanty. He's a leprechaun. Pretty much. Let's see. I play Leslie P. Lily Legs, who's basically a bad Jack Lemmon. And I play, like I said, Chad or Tad, I think his name is, the Australian guy. And I play a guy named Elliot, who's a really bad Sam Elliott. I think he's a badger or something like that, or I think that's what he is. Um, let's see. In the movie Inside Out, I was the Brazilian helicopter pilot who says, "Come, fly with me, gatinha." And I was also Fear in the Dad's head, the Fear with the mustache. "Sir, we're detecting a high level of sass." Let's see, some other series as well. I play the Mayor Temeroso in the ongoing Puss in Boots on Netflix. So there'll be some new episodes of that. More new episodes of Mr. Fairly Odd Parents. So some more Crocker coming your way. I'm trying to think of what else. I've done a couple guest voices on Clarence, which is on Cartoon Network. Sensei Carlos is one of them, so look for that. And I just did Javier Xavier on a new upcoming episode of Powerpuff Girls.
Wow.
So that's all some of the stuff coming up. That's about it. That's about all I can think of off the top right now.
That's awesome. And final question, what do you think Rocko would say if he saw kangaroos?
Hey guys, I think we're cousins. So if it would be alright, could we take a selfie together? Oh, I guess we need to find somebody with opposable thumb. Oh, I have them. My thumbs are animated, so I can't hold the camera, so we'll have to find somebody else to do a selfie.
That's fantastic. Carlos Alazraqui, thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Thank you too. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I can make my way to Australia to do a con, and I'll certainly let you know personally, and we can let your listeners know. And they traditionally go to Sydney and Melbourne. It'd be great to go back to Sydney again. I really love that city. It's a great walking city, and so we'll keep you posted.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. And anything you'd like to say to the fans out there?
Yeah, you know what? Thanks for watching and supporting and welcoming me into your nerd world. A guy that was a jock who is accepted by this new audience fan base, and I'm really appreciative of it, and I'm really appreciative that something that we do we sometimes take for granted, when we meet fans or know that they're out there, it kind of keeps us going and makes us feel like, oh yeah, we are doing something worthwhile. And sometimes it's hard when you don't get an audition and you don't get jobs for months, but it sounds trite now, but it's not. It's really nice that people out there like what you do and support it. And so wanted to say thank you.
And thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you again. And as you said, I hope to see you in Australia someday.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, guys, if you'd like to find out more about Carlos Alazraqui, you can check out his links down below in the description. And don't forget to subscribe down below to HannaTalk, as well as Simon Hanna Music, and follow my links down below in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is Simon, signing off.